People participated walking from Gauteng to Mahikeng. They come from different areas, including Kuruman, Johannesburg, Rustenburg, and they came under one message, which is to say that gender-based violence must come to an end. So we're going to speak to two of the participants of this walk. And the first person we're going to speak to is Jozi-to-Maftown, and she is a survivor of domestic violence, and she's here to share in short with us her personal story. Tebogo, tell us, we're going to do it in English this time. Tell us, why was it important for you to take part in this march, in this walk rather?
Hi, how are you? It's important because I realized that being a survivor, you don't have to keep the problem to yourself. You have to speak out. You have to stand up. You have to let whatever resources around you help you do the job. Especially you have to let God lead the way.
And sometimes we see that it's a bit of a challenge for people who are in abusive relationships or marriages to leave. What would you be your message to them?
Marriage or a relationship is not a death sentence that you have to, like they used to say, you die in your marriage. That is not the way God planned it to be. Two people in their relationship, they should be loving and caring and protective of each other. So if it's not happening, then stand up for yourself. You met being different people from different backgrounds. Stand up for your life and say no, 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 a big no. And I'm standing up for my life, and I have to say, God, you gave me this life, and tell me what to do with it. That's it.
Thank you, Tebogo. So that was Tebogo, and she is a survivor of domestic violence, telling some of the people out there who are victims of abuse, saying that if it is not working, if you are experiencing violence or abuse, you have to leave. Another gentleman who took part in this walk is Boikutso Siamela, and he will also tell us why it was important for him to take part in this walk. Another thing that sounded perhaps so important to me is what you mentioned earlier when you were saying that by you taking part in this walk, it means you are putting yourself in the shoes of the victims. Tell us about that.
By saying I'm putting myself in the shoes of the victims is that along the way we encounter challenges. Mind you, by participating in this walk, I left my family back home. They don't have protection. They could be attacked or anything could be done to them. And also along the way we meet challenges of being attacked, being hit by an oncoming car. So all of those are a risk on its own that I put myself in, and saying all the victims, I am in your shoes, I'm stepping in your shoes, I'm feeling the pain that you're going through. It might not be the same pain that you're going through, but I am really in your shoes.
And what would be your message to abusers out there?
I am saying to abusers, mind you that abusers are not only men. Abusers can be women too. I'm saying to all perpetrators, to all the victims, I'm saying let it come to an end. Any form of abuse, either emotional, physical, financial, let it come to an end. I rebuke all form of abuse. I'm saying let it end. Let it start with me. Let it start with you at home. Let it come to an end now. Yes.
Thank you very much. So the message is very clear for this walk out there to the people, which is that abusive relationships is not a place for anybody to stay in. And this walk took about 7 days, where the participants were taking rests along the way. We expect this to be an annual thing. It's already been happening for 4 years already. This is the 4th year, and they're expecting for it to grow each year and attract more people to be part of this walk.
The situation in Loli, south of Johannesburg, was calm today. It follows a standoff between residents and those who wanted to invade a plot of land in the area.
A piece of land to call home is many people's dream. And in Johannesburg, where overpopulation is a reality, housing is a challenge. In the south of Johannesburg, empty land was grabbed and built on, frustrating homeowners here.
Me, I'm a widow. My husband used to work for SABC, so she left me with the 4 kids. So I have to survive, to pay lights and water and buy food and do everything, while there's a person who comes just to invade and building high big house and buying fancy cars. And we law-abiding residents, we can't even do that.
In Loli, a protest broke out this week. About 100 shacks were erected here. Police have since removed them.
We're not fighting. As a community, we are asking for land to live on. I don't speak for myself, but I speak for my children. We've been living with them for more than 30 years, and by now, they should have their own space.
Residents say they're not against the people that need a piece of the land, but want it done in a proper manner.
We don't mind if people can come stay here, but they must build proper housing. I'm 20 years on the waiting list. I'm still staying with my child, which is unfair. People from other places, they just come and put the shacks.
We need some system that will control that. That is the thing that we've been fighting for in Lenasia South. That yes, we do understand people, they want a piece of land to build. But let us go the proper way, like we did.
There remains a backlog of over 300,000 units. Hasina Gori, SABC News, Johannesburg.
When did he end this?
When drought struck Kenya last year, women and children in pastoral communities bore the greatest brunt. Malnutrition rates soared as men moved for long distances with their cattle in search of pastures. They watched as their cattle, their main source of wealth, was decimated by the drought. Help came in forms of chicken. A local NGO partnered with international agriculture technology company Monsanto and trained the women to rear poultry, which is lifting those pastoral communities from hunger and empowering Maasai women. To mark Women's Day, Sarah Kimani went to Kajiado country to see how these women are boosting family incomes using poultry.
It's the end of a long but fruitful day for this group of Maasai women in Kenya's Kajiado County. Evident in the amounts of money they are able to raise in their weekly chama meeting, the equivalent of South Africa's Stokvels. I never lack money to give in the women's group because I always have money from the egg sales. It was not always this way. Persistent droughts here decimated their herds of cattle, leaving families in despair. When Latia Agribusiness Solutions, a local non-government organization based in Kajiado, visited her homestead with what seemed as a solution, Joyce Matthew did not think twice. Together with hundreds of other women, they opted to take their chances. I started poultry rearing last year. When Latia came to us, they gave me 10 chicks. I now have 34 chicken. The success of the project depends on monthly trainings carried out by local experts. We are here just in time for this month's lesson.
In total, we have 2,500 farmers. So how it operates? We cluster farmers in groups of 50. So for instance, this homestead, we have a number of 2,050 farmers. In that cluster, we have a facilitator. In the same cluster, we have a demo farmer. So those two are very key to us. So we take the facilitator for training, a 1-week training, and being follow up again on the village level. We come again, we train them on a weekly basis or monthly basis.
This group that we have visited started rearing chicken last year at the height of the drought. They now admit this came in as a cushion against the dry spell that killed thousands of livestock across the country. You know, the availability of milk is dependent on the climate. When the drought strikes, we are forced to move with the animals in search of pastures. You cannot move with chicken. Take, for example, following last year's drought, we now do not have any cow that we can milk. Climate change has forced the Maasai to think outside the box. The women are moving away from what their husbands do, keeping livestock. They're now keeping chicken, which subsidizes the income of the family. Until she started rearing chicken, Faith Ken, like many women here in Kajiado, did beadwork.
It has changed my family because buying food, I use the money for the eggs, clothes, even school fees for my children. Yeah, using the eggs.
It is not just about adapting to the effects of climate change. The proceeds from the sale of eggs are empowering the women, who earn up to $100 a month. While men own the kettle, women now own the chicken. You see, if I have a friend, I can give her a chicken or sell it and earn some money. But cattle and goats belong to the man, so you cannot sell.
It was also very important for them to provide food. There is very high malnutrition levels in most of these pastoral communities because of lack of proper nutrition. And poultry provides both meat as well as eggs. So it's not just about income, it's also about having good food for their children.
9 years since the project began, thousands of women have benefited. The ripple effects going beyond the groups.
Farmers from within, those who are not in the project, are coming and buying eggs from the farmers on the project. So they're also going to breed using the eggs that these farmers are doing.
The initial investment is just $40 per woman.
So it is not that big money, and it's a myth within development world that you need a lot of money to actually bring change. 4,000 shillings and you can pull a family out of poverty through this enterprise.
In many homesteads that we visited, the cattle sheds are still empty. It will be years before these pastoral communities can recover from last year's drought. But those who have chicken know this time they will not have to stretch out the begging bowl for relief food. Sarah Kimani, SABC News in Kajiado County, Kenya.
Now, here's an interview that I've been looking forward to all afternoon as South Africa celebrates a Women's Day.